Hey, look at that. Unmuted and everything, right, guys? Yes. Ahoy, crypto pirates. Welcome to your Discourse Syndicate. I'm Captain RG3. I'm not here with Litecoin Moses today. This is a Sunday special follow-up to our special edition of the Discourse Syndicate on the landing of two of our hexagons in Puerto Rico. The subject has been talked about a few times on Discourse Syndicate about what the advantage is to moving or setting up business shop or even your tax shelter in Puerto Rico might look like, what it is to get that accomplished. And we're getting a little deeper into the dive of that with Big K going out there and Gary from Funding Gym going out there. And he's back in town. Actually, he's got his homestead set up there. But now we've got a new guest coming on with us, and her name is Tammy, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about what Article 60 really is, what Puerto Rico's like. So any questions you guys might have or want to gather, let's get those in the chat. For my cutthroats that are out there, I went ahead and I posted in the Cutthroat Lounge there, and you guys want to come in, you want some questions asked yourselves, feel free to do so. But for now, I'm going to pull Gary up and let him explain a little bit more before and let you know who Tammy is, and then we'll bring her up. So hold on one second. Gary, you there?
I am here. If everyone can hear me okay, I'm here. Ready to answer anything that people might have about what I know so far. But I actually have someone tonight that you're going to introduce later that knows quite a bit more.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and well, first of all, tell us a little bit about what's going on with you. You just got out there, obviously, and you're all settled in now. What's going on?
Yeah. So a quick story is I've had different chapters. Long time ago, farming and such, and then a military chapter of my life, a medical chapter of my life, where I was had a 9-to-5 job, and then I went to an evening or a weekend job, a real estate chapter of my life, and startup accelerator. So one of those transitioned into what this chapter is now, which is e-commerce, digital nomadism, support for people that are looking to either use funding or not, use their own capital so that they can start a new idea, pursue a passion of their own, something that's independent, but also efficient tax-wise. So when I looked at Puerto Rico, I was looking from late 2017, primarily because of crypto and the attraction that crypto had, or at least the story about Puerto Rico and Act 20 and 22 got into my hands because of crypto. But it had existed since 2012. So long before crypto was popularized as a reason to potentially come to Puerto Rico, it was advocated by the government of Puerto Rico to attract e-commerce, digital commerce, people that are brokers and traders of any commodity, of any currency, Forex and stock and gold and silver people. And that's where you heard about Act 20 and 22, or at least I did, from Peter Schiff being on the Joe Rogan show. So that was the first time I ever heard about some benefit of potentially relocating your residence and your business to Puerto Rico, was because of Peter Schiff. And that later became, in 2017, highlighted because of the crypto bull run and some other reasons as far as real estate that segued into what I was interested in anyway. And I went through that process with others in very early part of 2018, and I relocated to Puerto Rico. Yeah, so it's worked out well. I did have a period of about a year where I returned to California and I took care of a relative that was going through an illness. So that chapter kind of went on pause here in Puerto Rico, but now I'm back and everything is copacetic. Yeah.
Right on. So you said you spoke a term a second ago. You said crypto, or not crypto. You said digital nomadism. Elaborate on that a little bit, because I know that there's a specific benefit to actually getting involved in that area, with Puerto Rico. What do you mean by that when you talk about that term?
So it's interesting that really over the past maybe 5 to 6 years, a larger percentage of the United States working public has the flexibility to work remotely. So they can work for an employer. And if they work for an employer, they don't have to go into a physical office. That might be something that many of us know about. However, there's also a movement to say that I'm not an employee of this company. So even in healthcare, like say that you're a psychologist or psychiatrist, and you have a practice and you go into a hospital or a clinic, and you're compensated or paid a W-2 wage. That W-2 wage is taxed because you're a W-2 employee as a physician to some big hospital organization. And you have, along with that, some of the headache of management of MAs and staff and so forth. Similarly, with a lot of other kinds of businesses that have the potential to be remote working or a digital nomad, you might be a bookkeeper or a CPA or a lawyer, right? And you can see clients in person, but you also have the ability to use technology today of teleconferencing. I mean, like this stream right now, this is, I'm thousands of miles away from, the person broadcasting. So you can do all kinds of consulting businesses that normally might be paid and have an overhead of being in one location, one home, one spot. Millennials, for the most part, have popularized the normalcy of not having a anchor spot, not having a geographical spot that they are in one city. You say, where are you from? A lot of people might say, oh, I'm from Dallas. But a digital nomad might say, I started in Dallas, but for the past 3 years, I've lived, a year in Bali, a year in Medellin, Colombia, a year in Chiang Mai, Thailand, because the millennials typically, the ones that are entrepreneurial at least, typically are looking for life experiences. And if they have life experiences while they're making money, because they're a video editor, they're a YouTuber, they build a Instagram business of branding themselves effectively, they pick up a skill set, like they can program, they want to learn programming, and they take on the skill and they learn the profession of being a programmer. That means really they can work anywhere they have an internet connection. So a digital nomad is a popular thing now that a lot of people may not realize. So in 2014, I became more familiar with it because I was living in Silicon Valley, and I had an interest in having rental revenue that was a premium above the market rate. And to do that, I customized real estate so that it suited digital nomads, travelers, people that were going to be somewhere like Palo Alto for 3 months. They were going to go through an accelerator, and they were going to learn how to basically protect their intellectual property. They were going to go through their legal process and set up an entity. They were going to make pitches to angels and seed investors for their product to be developed. But they also had a lot of overhead if they decided to build it out and work on their project in San Francisco for a year, right? They're burning up their runway, whatever funding that they had. So I basically first started with just hosting temporarily. Then I started looking at how to enable these people to save on their overhead by living instead in Colombia, living instead in Bali. That's cheaper place, as long as they have very good security and safety, and they also have very good internet connections. Then they can work on their product or their project elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So digital nomadism is very popular, maybe for the past 5 to 6 years. And through that network, that's actually how I came across crypto. Was one of my tenants that was a traveler and had been traveling since he was like 17, I think, and he was like 23 or 24 at the time. Had told me about some of the bull run stuff that was happening in around April of 2017 is where I first started really looking serious. I'd heard the word Bitcoin, but I really didn't know about all of these alts. I didn't know anything about seasons, and so forth. So around March or April of 17 is where one of my tenants basically introduced me to this world of digital nomadism and this world of remote working, as well as the crypto environment.
Nice. Well, that's that's interesting because, oh, what happened here? Hold on one second. Let me, I got something covering everybody. There we go. What I find interesting about this, and at first when I looked at Puerto Rico and at my age, and what I've already accomplished in life and where I'm at, I'm looking for a crypto tax shelter to realize mad gains without having to get basically raped in taxes where I live now in Southern California. So how can I shelter myself? At first, that was how I looked at it. But I started looking at this a little deeper, and when you started speaking about your digital nomadism and online working, and I've heard of these things, and I've seen people do the Amazon type businesses setups, and I know people that have websites and run businesses off them. I didn't know the slightest bit or whether or not that was even a possibility for myself, until I started just kind of playing around with this streaming, and talking about HEX and those things. But what I realized is that, we've got a couple of different groups and people in between here in our HEX community. We have whales and sharks and dolphins, where these guys are, heavily invested or got in really early in HEX, and they've got some big stacks. So they may be more in the area of, hey, you know what, I need a tax shelter, and this might be a place for me to go, and realize that, But then we've got our shrimps, our shells, and our squids, and our crabs, and those people that are, well invested, early invested. Like anybody who gets in year one, I think is probably just sitting really nice at whatever level you got in. But maybe some people, couldn't afford to jump in, with both feet, or they didn't, and they didn't get a great price. But they've got a nice little retirement in the next, 10 or 15 years, if they've got some big stakes out there, or some decent sized stakes out there, that we know more than likely will be growing exponentially. I don't know what the price is going to be on HEX at that time, but they're going to see some serious HEX gains in about 10 or 15 years. And some of these people are probably younger and still in the working years. So this is also an option for people that are younger, that have some big stakes out there, that are looking at that as a retirement, but maybe looking to, set up a shelter, get themselves into something else, something that they might enjoy more, like being a digital nomad, finding something that's their niche or they like. And then the other thing is there isn't a time limit on it now, but there might be a sunset on this thing. So getting involved and getting it set up now is probably important, because I don't know the exact particulars of it, but I know that this Act 60 or Article 60 or whatever they're calling it now is something that you can actually transfer or sell. Once you've established it, you can actually, somebody else can purchase it off you. If it's not something that, you think, hey, this wasn't for me, tried Puerto Rico, I went out there, I didn't dig it, I couldn't make it as a digital nomad or whatever, it's also transferable, something that you can sell to somebody else one day. So hopefully we can get into the details of all that and see how that fits into our HEX community, and how the people in HEX, at whatever level you're involved, and whatever your stack looks like, and whatever the situation might help, feel free to ask us some questions, and I'll let Gary introduce Tammy, and we can bring her up and start asking her some of these detailed questions.
Yeah. So to give that introduction for Tammy, Tammy has experience because, one, she's been here all of her life. So her island life. She has been off the island. She'll talk about that as well, as far as some of her education and things like that. But she also has helped. There's these things that maybe a Big K is going to be in the conversation later tonight. But there's a facilitator, or there's a benefit for people that are locals that have set up and gone through the official process, and they basically have permission by the government to facilitate Act 20, 22, 60, whatever they want to call it in the future, to facilitate and help these people get started, get them connected, get them to the right banking institutions, get them to the right lawyers, because they basically, it's just like a referral program. You benefit because you're helping someone else, right? So if they are effective in how they're helping a business get started or an individual relocate and their family relocate, if they're helpful in that way, they get basically residual income. They get a passive income, basically, as long as that entity is operational. So they may work for 4 or 5 months or 6 months to get people started. And then if that company thrives, then they basically have a passive income that builds up over the course of that entity existing. So there's things like that that maybe Tammy will comment on, but maybe she won't. It'll be up to her. But I just wanted to say that, yes, like you said, things can always change. The government has an economic challenge right now. They have a history. If you do different Google searches, you'll find out more of the history about why Act 20 and 22 originated in 2012. And you'll also see that in 2013, there was a different version, in 2016 and 2018. So there's different versions based on when you get involved and when you go through this legal process and when you set up your residency and you comply with the IRS rules, right? So you may come in 2020 and it may be slightly different. They may have different qualifications and requirements. But basically mine, the one that's grandfathered, because mine's in 2018, it's a 20-year-long decree with the potential of an extension of 10 more years. So the entity, the LLC, has its life. It's a new person. It's a business, just like having a kid. And the person that benefits, the owner, can pass income from that entity to the owner, the human, at 0% cost. So there's all kinds of nuance that we can talk about at a different time. But basically, I would say, if you have an interest in remote working for a company and you want to be employed, you can do that remotely in a better structure, because your biggest overhead is not your commercial building. It's not even your employees. Your biggest overhead to getting started in snowballing wealth is tax. It has to do with tax. And Puerto Rico set it up in a way to say, you can't just on paper say that you live here with a post office box. You have to live here, because those benefits of you saving tax of living somewhere else need to come to the island, and they need to be invested in the neighborhood, and you need to be part of the voting community, and you need to know who you're supporting politically or your neighbors, right? So there's a reason why they do what they're doing, which is they're allowing you, I wouldn't say shelter, but they're allowing you to be more efficient with your business and utilize and decide where you're going to put those funds that would have gone to taxation. You really have no choice about where it goes, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to introduce Tammy. Tammy's got a lot of experience and she can hold her own. She's very capable of being interviewed.
Right on. All right. Well, without any more delay here, I'm going to bring up Tammy. Tammy, hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
How are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you out there in Puerto Rico? Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. It's beautiful. Today was a little rainy, but we needed it. So great.
Right on. Well, with all the small talk of what the weather's like and everything, I'm in California. Gary's out there with you, so he's got the same thing going on. And today it was like a bazillion degrees. It was like 105 or 106 out here. It was crazy hot, but still nice. But we want to get right into it with you as far as, you know, what's going on in Puerto Rico. First of all, give us your background. Obviously, Jim said you've been in Puerto Rico for your whole life. Give us a little rundown of who you are and where you're from.
So, a little bit about myself. My name is Tammy Santiago. I'm 29 years old. I study at the University of Puerto Rico. I have a background in history of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, as well in tourism and languages. I did a year abroad in Germany. And after that, I've lived all over the place. You could say in the island as well, and New York. So I've been to big cities and very small communities in the island as well. So I got a glance of both lives. I especially love the whole small community. And Puerto Rico, again, is a great place, like you said, to shelter and save your taxes, taxes money. Because, you know, we pay so much on taxes and sometimes we don't even see it. So, of course, everyone wants to retire with a nice paycheck and save their money. So Puerto Rico has been doing tax exemption. This is not new, guys. This goes way back with the whole pharmaceuticals. We all heard the names of Baxter, Smith and Kline. Which ones are the other ones? Viagra. All those, Tylenol, Advil. This has been going on in Puerto Rico for many, many years. But now, like Gary mentioned, since I think 2012, it has been very publicly known for people, not like only big corporates, to come down and invest on the island. At first, it was mostly to have people come down with big companies to give out employments, basically. But later on, it became within years, every little year, things change, like between, let's say, 2015, 2016, things change a little bit more. But then with the hit of Hurricane Maria and Irma, obviously we had 2 Cat 5s in 2 weeks. The island suffered major damage, and that was a low blow for the economy. So a lot of people love crumbling economies because they know how to, everything that goes down goes back up. So that's what has been happening in Puerto Rico. We have like the most beautiful beachfront homes and properties that you could get for the lowest cost that you can imagine. Also, your tax money will be safe here if you know how to get through the loopholes, which there's a lot of them in the whole Act 20, 21, and 22, or Law 60. There's so many names for it. I can't keep up with them. But yeah, basically, after you transfer here, but you have to really transfer, like Gary mentioned. It's not just like, oh, I have a PO box at Puerto Rico over there in San Juan. Just send me the letter over there. I'll get it. You have to live here about 153 days a year. So you could do it however you want. I know a lot of people that do it every other weekend. Others that do it 6 months here, 6 months in my other home. I know people that do it, like they get out whenever they hear hurricane season or summer. It's like it's hot, they don't like it, they want to go somewhere cooler. So you play your cards however you want to do it after you spend your 153 days here. But basically it's paradise. I'm not gonna lie, we do have our system that needs to work a little better, like DMV, stuff like that, but there's always someone's gonna help you out. We call them in Spanish gestores, will be the facilitators for you to get all that paperwork, like, oh, I need my information for my card, like my permits, all of that. Little sticker that we put on the cars here called marbetes. That's the price of $200. You're not gonna wait in line for 8 hours to get that little sticker. Like, you always get someone to do that silly stuff for you. And unfortunately, our system for the DMV is called Sesco over here, has changed, but
explain that real quick. You're saying B&B.
DMV.
Oh,
DMV.
Okay,
DMV. Yeah, here.
So, let me back up to a couple things. You've been covering a whole lot of stuff. I'm gonna just start stopping you, and we'll just let you get into it. So first of all, you said, hey, it's Act 2022. This is something that Puerto Rico has always had as far as tax benefits. But obviously 20 and 22 was something new, after the hurricane devastation. Then it changed to 60. So these changes that are happening to Puerto Rico's tax structure, the benefits of Puerto Rico's tax structure to American citizens, is it changing? Is it morphing just because they just changed things, or is it? Are you losing benefits? Are the benefits changing as the economy is growing, so they're giving less away? How is that? Why is it changing, and what is all that about?
I think now it's a little bit more flexible, I will tell you, from before, because before
you had 60
to
flexed it. So you're saying 60 is more flexible than 20 and 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hang on a second. So in the 70s, they started different tax structure, and that was mostly for very big corporations. That's why almost all
like she was talking about Baxter and
pharmaceuticals, call centers. I mean, major corporations. They're the only ones that got a real benefit. Yeah. And then in 2012, it was individuals. So at 2012, it became individuals. And the story has changed because the market of who would be interested has changed.
Yeah.
Before 2018, only 400 individuals had Act 20 or 22 status. So in 5 years or 6 years, they only had 400 people. In 2018, they had 4,000 applications. And out of that, many people relocated here. So it changes based on the market it's serving. Yeah.
Okay.
The market and also the politicians that every 4 terms every 3 years we change terms. So with depending on the political power that we have, it's gonna be a little bit more flexible with certain laws or certain things. Like they're not gonna fuss about little things. For example, right now the pro statehood political power is, in the term of this last few months, I guess you could say, because there was a little bit of an uprising, but that's another topic. But since they're pro United States, pro everything, pro economy, and obviously people moving over here and investing, they're gonna make your life a little bit easier for that.
So let me stop you there again. So now, is this just for U.S. citizens? Because somebody in the chat room just said, how does the PR treat Australian citizens or non-U.S. citizens immigrating there? Is there a program for people outside the U.S. or is it just for U.S. citizens that this is available?
So I know this answer a little bit.
Let Tammy answer it, Jim.
Yeah, go ahead. She shows the answer.
Well, I think so far as for U.S. citizens, I haven't been notified like how well this goes for international citizens or other citizenships. But since we are unfortunately in a very weird political place, being a colony of the United States, we can't really make those ends. We can take action on those things by ourselves because this was all made by the Promesa Act, which is the Promise Act by Obama. So we can't really have a say about that.
So basically, Puerto Rico's laws are the award of the state of the United States is their award.
Exactly.
Okay.
So federal laws will always be above our state law or any law. So if you commit a crime here, to give you an example, a carjack, it's still gonna be like a federal carjacking. Like you kidnap a child, it's a federal crime. So you will be trial and you'll go to a federal trial. So
a U.S. federal trial.
United States, exactly, federal trial. We've been part of the United States since 1898 and U.S. citizens since 1917. So if you have a question like, oh, I come to Puerto Rico and I have a kid, yes, it will be United States citizen.
Gotcha.
So, and everything is approved by FDA. Everything that has to do with the United States, like we have Costco, Sam's, every other big chain supermarket warehouse that you can think of. But international things, it's a little bit complicated because also we have these laws. Oh God, I forgot the name. I'll have it in 1 second. So we can import anything from the island that's not approved by the United States. So
Jones Act.
The Jones Act. Thank you. I forgot. We have the Jones Act. So unfortunately, even though we have Dominican Republic right next to us, we can't get a shipment of plantains and fruits and mangoes from them. It has to go to the United States and then to us.
Gotcha. So they physically have to take. They have to take them physically in the U.S. before you can get them.
They have to be approved
in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though we are the closest peer, but it has to go to the U.S. mainland and then to here.
Yeah, because the DR is obviously not. Well, isn't the DR is not part of the U.S. territories? It's on its own.
DR is its own republic. Yeah.
Okay.
So Puerto Rico is actually in a position that they used to be able to be a port, a rich port, because they're geographically located in shipping lanes, and those shipping lanes you would refuel and you would trade, and it became very wealthy. But also with the Jones Act, which I think was passed in the 50s, in the rise of Castro and the threat of communism, the Jones Act was passed. So even though Puerto Rico can import things from South America and get a very good price, and they can negotiate very well, they're basically paying a shipping cost ×2, because at first has to go to Miami and then it comes to Puerto Rico.
They were protecting against communism from Cuba at the time. Probably is what they were. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah, but the same thing happens with Alaska and Hawaii, so they go through the same thing, and Guam. So it's not us. It's every other territory.
Yep.
Gotcha. So then I guess and I don't know if this is a question that any of us here know. I'm going to bring Big K up here in a minute too. He's here. So when just because we do have a lot of Europeans that are watching the stream and are involved in HEX, and people from Asia and basically all over the world. But if they wanted to, they would probably more than likely have to apply for U.S. citizenship or a green card before they can have any benefits of Puerto Rico?
So I know this answer.
Let's hear it.
So the answer, at least when I was hosting in Silicon Valley, a lot of people from around the world are coming to Silicon Valley either to start their business, expand their business, or to get funding for a business that might be U.S. market. So they are from Latvia and I mean, just hundreds of countries. So they have to go through an E5 visa process, basically an investor visa. And they have options about how they can invest. I think the amount is like $500,000. It depends, but basically it depends on what type of thing you're investing into. So they can either buy a business that's already operational, right? It's functional as a business. They can buy that, and that will count toward the money that the U.S. government is saying that they need to have in order to get a permission to be on the path to green card and citizenship. So the individual brings money. They buy either a business. There's some real estate, but mostly it's businesses. And if they buy that operational business, then they have all kinds of flexibility. Now, when it comes to Puerto Rico, even if it's an Act 20 company, like you just said earlier, that's transferable as an LLC. So they're not a citizen yet, but they can apply through an E5 visa process. If they're bringing money, which might be crypto realized, it might be something that they decide to cash out in order to fund that purchase of a business, which might be an Act 20 company. Once they have that permission and that visa application approved, then they can go through the same citizenship route if they want to become U.S. citizen. And if they did that in California, they're going to pay crazy taxes. If they did it in Texas, they're going to pay federal taxes, but no state taxes. But if they did it in Puerto Rico and they went official pathway, which again can be timely, it can take a significant amount of time, and it will take lawyers to go through the citizenship process and the purchase of an entity that qualifies them as the E5 process. So they have to go through that process. But if they do so in a smart way, yes, they can realize their crypto gains, they can become a U.S. citizen, they can own a business or a company that might be an e-commerce business, it might be an influence business, it might be a marketing business. They could do all kinds of things. And their residency would have to be here 153 days of a calendar year over a sliding 3-year window. So yeah, they could go through that process if they decided to.
Right on. Well, so there's an option. That's good. That's good. I'm going to bring Kurkowski up here in a minute, but one question that I'm going to throw at Tammy, because I know she's going to want to answer this.
Okay.
Somebody put in the chat room, and I know all three of you, when I bring up Big K, he's going to be able to answer this too. And this is from Mr. Moore or Dahira. It says, I find it ironic people in the U.S. thinking of moving to a third world country while the people there are finding ways to move out of there. I'm going to let you answer that. I'm going to bring up Big K too, because he's out there right now and in that third world country. And I'd like everybody to kind of give their comment, their opinion on that one there.
Okay, the thing is that a lot of people like to talk without not really knowing what's going on in the island. So yes, unfortunately, there's some people that will make $7.25 the hour, which obviously does not allow you to survive anywhere in the world. So yes, having a salary of $7.25 in the hour will be considered a third world country, of course. And not having certain things, but I've been here my entire life. I have great health insurance. I have friends that actually went to Harvard med school, graduated Harvard, and came back to the island. Of course, do you know what they did? Since they spent so many years in the States and they file obviously taxes over there and everything as a resident of that state, when they came back, Act 20 applied to them. So, it's a win-win situation for them. Some of them, there's also, I don't know, Gary, maybe you know a little bit more about that. I know there's some tax exemption for doctors in Puerto Rico, because I know a lot of friends of mine, there's a CPA that everyone pays here like $7,000, and he works his magic and they don't pay taxes at all. Yeah. So I can get the number of the guy if anyone's interested, but it is hard sometimes. It's frustrating at other times to work with certain systems of Puerto Rico. But again, it is not how people picture it. Yes, we might have a blackout here and there, but everything else is extremely functional. Like you have to have a little patience for certain things, but everything, like criminality, some people might say like, oh, it's super high. I go out every other day at nighttime, never been raped, assaulted, carjacked. The other day, our doors were completely open. We all went to sleep with the doors open, not locked at all. I don't live in a gated community. Nothing happened. So, you know, it's what people hear, but not the same as when you live here. Obviously, you do need a salary more than $7.25 the hour to live a good life in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
But
and
you can
it's a freaking
actually survive.
tropical island.
Yeah.
Well, I would comment. I've lived in maybe 20 cities over my life, if it's 3 months or 4 months at a time, at least. So I've been a contractor, at least in the States, 15 cities for 3 or 4 months at a time. There are third world countries inside the United States, and it's almost all the major cities have a third world area, right? So when you say, when someone says moving from one third world country, I would say that certain parts of LA are third world. Parts of San Francisco, which I've lived close to, are very third world, if you look at it and through that lens. So you can find very, very luxurious places anywhere in the world, and you can find poverty and the blight of urban life anywhere in the world too. You know?
Yeah. I find the whole third world argument, you know, falls on me because I've been around the world, Thailand, Philippines, you know, Okinawa, Japan, Korea. I've been all over the world and all over South America. And, you know, I don't have a problem myself. I don't have a problem with third world countries. I have a problem with growing up in Inglewood and living in South Central Los Angeles. You know, that's about as third world country as I've ever, you know.
Well, like the term, I just feel like is just like an incorrect term for people to use. Like third world, the term itself, like this is super nerdy, but like it came from like the Cold War struggle of like there being first world, which we would call the U.S. and all of our powers, and then the Axis, the Russian powers and all of their powers. And anybody who didn't take a side in that, we just called them the third world. Like that's where that like actual literal definition comes from. So like, yeah, there's plenty of really good, nice places that were in the third world, you know, that just didn't take a side in the Cold War, you know. So it's a really
kind
like
of the same thing as calling somebody a commie now.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I mean,
it's lost really a lot of its meaning, you know.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to be politically correct by saying third world, but it's absolutely incorrect. And they're just trying to say, you know, places that might have some view of blight. Well, I would say that anybody that thought that Hollywood was a great place to live, they'd never been to Hollywood.
Ain't never been there, Bubba. You ain't never been there. I live behind Pink's hot dog stand down there off Melrose and La Brea. I'm telling you, you don't want to be down there.
No. Oh yeah, that is for sure. I mean, that is exactly what you said. Is you can find you know, good places and bad places anywhere you go. You know, it's not. And I find that Puerto Rico has a lot of awesome, fantastic places. I mean, I don't find it third world at all.
So if you have any for Tammy, I'd really focus on her because she has some obligations. Probably anything you want to run by her, maybe ask the audience, whatever you would like to do.
Yeah, there's a question about banking in the chat. I saw.
Yeah. So
we're talking about that.
So for instance, American citizens can they set up banking in Puerto Rico before they go to Puerto Rico, or is that something you would have to go do in person, or can you set up an account online or over the?
Actually, I was talking about this a little earlier with Gary. With Banco Popular, which is the most famous bank here in the island. Yes, Popular Bank.
My uncle works for Banco Popular.
Oh, really? Well, Banco Popular has an amazing app, which I recommend. If you come down here, get it, because you got ATH Móvil, which means that you can transfer people money. You can transfer up to, I think, $10,000, like just with, you know, a click on your phone, and boom, it's there. You can pay businesses with it. Everyone in Puerto Rico is paying businesses with ATH Móvil. So it is the easiest way. You don't even need your credit card whenever you go out. You just find the business or the person and just send them the money. And some jobs are even paying their employees like that. So you can open a e-commerce e-account. Is super easy. You just go Banco Popular, open account. It just write down your information. It takes like 20 minutes, and then you have an account. That is that easy.
It's right there.
Oh, right there, exactly. So, and after you have the account, you go to another app, the ATH mobile app, and then you open that, and voila, you are connected to everything in Puerto Rico. You can actually deposit checks with just the picture after you sign it, and it's done. Like in 24 hours, your money's there, and you can wire money like globally after you sign one of those little questions that they ask you, like would you like to do wiring money to like Switzerland, whatever. You can do that as well.
So I can just go ahead and set up a Banco Popular account
right
here.
now, yeah?
Send them some money, and then I can set up a Coinbase account to that and transfer crypto right to it.
Yes, you can.
Awesome.
Is that easy? It's like 30 minutes probably of your life, and then you have everything there. If you don't like Banco Popular, if you dislike it, distrust it, whatever your issue might be with the bank, there's other banks. We got Santander, Oriental Bank.
Yeah.
And then I was telling Gary about the small community banks, which are called in Spanish cooperativas. So they're like part of a coop. It's these small banks have really good interest money rates on any account that you might open with them, because you're helping a small community, and it's basically a bank that everyone knows each other. So interest rates are really, really high, and they're really good. And some of them you can't even see them on your taxes, because I've done the loophole. So those are good if you want to open them and put some money away and not look at it for 2 or 3 years. It's great.
Oh yeah, the Hexicans know about putting money away for 2 or 3 years. That's for sure.
Yeah, and definitely you're investing in a small community bank, so it does help that community, because that's the money that's in there. So it
builds relationships with people.
Hex Monkey, let me answer Hex Monkey real quick. So it's Banco, Banko,
Popular,
or Banco, Popular, which is Popular, and if you just go bancopopular.com, you can actually download the app right there onto your cell phone, and it looks like you can bank transfer to it in your banking. And they actually have a Puerto Rican branch apps too. I pulled the Puerto Rican branch app up, and you can send it right there. You can set up a Coinbase account straight to them, and you can actually transfer crypto there.
Also, if you want to do the whole commercial banking with Popular, it's really easy as well. After you have any certification, paperwork, or anything that lets them know that you have a business, a legit business, they will let you open it, and the charges are super minimum. It's like $2 or $3.
Oh. And I the only reason I know of this bank, like I said, my uncle works for them. He's worked for them for years and years, so I know that they're a reputable bank. They're a reputable bank in South America. And
yeah, it's well, at least in Puerto Rico, it's let's be careful with that, because it's not the same. Like there's a Popular bank in DR, but it's not the same as the one in Puerto Rico.
They're not affiliated.
No, they're not. Completely different.
Same name though.
Yeah, there's a different one that's also in, I'm pretty sure, Costa Rica as well. It's not affiliated as well. It's also different. Looks almost the same too. Looks like almost the same logo.
The logo and everything. Yeah, it's very similar.
The website has PR on it. Yeah, you choose PR.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with First Bank too. Like there's technically First Bank is another one that's here in Puerto Rico that's popular. And it's over. There are certain branches of First Bank over in Florida too, in Miami, but they don't like transact with each other. You have to open up a First Bank account in Puerto Rico versus one in Miami. They're separate.
Thank you for mentioning that, because a lot of people will ask me like Wells Fargo, because they have banking accounts with Wells Fargo. That's very delicate here. Like I've tried doing that, and I couldn't do it because of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, same with like Chase. Bank of America, Chase, same situation.
But my dad, he's a BA, he's a veteran, and he has Chase and Bank of America.
So for RG and for anybody that's a veteran, I use PenFed, which is Pentagon Federal Credit Union. It's very, very good. It allows you to access, credit card lines that convert into cash, and then that cash can be used however you want to use cash. I usually will help people get through their credit union processes and things like that, because of my other side of my interest. But as far as Puerto Rico, I've found banking very easy. There's major commercial banks. If you're going to set up something and you're going to run something of a business that's other than just crypto investing or something, you're really going to run a business, then there's all kinds of network of facilitators, people that can connect you, make it easier on you to automate those kinds of processes of payroll or remote vendors and stuff like that. Everything you need would be here.
Yeah. Also, with the Wells Fargo, we do have Wells Fargo as money. Like they're the ones that transfer the money to different properties, different businesses. Like you will see the little band and the guy with the gun and everything. But we do not have the banking of Wells Fargo on the island. I don't know why they never done the the jump to Puerto Rico. I've called them multiple times asking them, but they don't. They won't.
Yeah, it's a fee thing. It's a license thing. I mean, just set up in a new jurisdiction. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, what else we got for questions here? Let's see what else. Can I? Internet Lurker says, can I keep a bank account in the States and open a separate account in Puerto Rico?
I know that answer, but maybe Tammy does.
No, Gary, you go ahead. That part I'm not very sure.
Yeah, you're the man with both citizenships or with both residents.
So the question should really be, if I were investigated, if an audit happens, right? Because I'm saving so much in taxes and I get audited, what can you prove? Can your neighbors say, yeah, he's lived here for 6 months. He's in that apartment over there all the time. I see him on the beach, right? Did he go to these restaurants? Did he have this bank account, which is a local bank account at Banco Popular, and he's paying his rent, he's paying his utilities, right? So if you're basically doing the things you would do as a resident anywhere else in the United States, you should be doing those things here. If you're doing that 6 months of the year and you're qualifying and you're following the rules, you can be a certain amount of time stateside, maybe 3 months stateside, or you can be in a different country, or you can be on a business trip and you can do all the things you normally would do to operate a business or be a person of the world, right? So the question really is, if you keep your bank account and you keep your DMV and you keep your residence and you keep all of these things in California or Texas or New York, you're not passing the residency test. You need to be able to pass the residency test. So what I have to do, and I have done, is I've transferred real estate into an entity, and the entity can stay in California and own and operate that business. And that business I can manage remotely from Puerto Rico through my Puerto Rico LLC. So there's ways that you can comply and follow the rules, and the rules are there for a reason. It's so that the Puerto Rico benefits and you benefit, and your business potentially has less overhead to operate efficiently and compete with other markets and compete with others in that same marketplace. So yeah, you can keep a bank account. I have a Wells Fargo, I have Chase, I have all these different things, but I also follow and comply the rules, and almost all of my banking happens in Puerto Rico to cover my lifestyle and my residency, and show to an auditor of 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 5. I think the longest they can go is like 3 years, but they can audit you. And if they audit you, you should be able to prove, yes, I'm a Puerto Rican, not, I visit Puerto Rico sometimes. Yeah.
So we got another question. It says, why do you need to live in the country to open a bank account? Well, I think you kind of answered that as far as you need to prove residency. So that's the short answer to it. You need to be able to prove or pass the litmus test of being a resident of Puerto Rico in order to realize the tax benefits. So they don't want you to just go there and get yourself B&B and skip out, come in for a month or two, collect all your money out of your bank and then roll back out to the States or whatever. They want you to actually set up residency there.
Yeah, and I mean, from what my lawyer was explaining to me is that that's it's a lot of that is all like it's the federal government, the IRS, that really cares about that stuff. So it's not like, for instance, for coming and going, like the Puerto Rico doesn't care as much if you're here or if you're in Switzerland hanging out on vacation or whatever. It's the U.S. government that cares if you're on their soil for over that time or not. It's they want you to comply with all these rules. They want to make sure that you're passing the closer connection test. Which says that you don't have a closer connection in their back stateside. That's so as long as you're that's when the audit comes. That's who you have to make them believe that you're complying.
So another thing about that is you might decide, I'm going to come to Puerto Rico and I'll tell my family, you can stay in the schools, your elementary kids can stay in schools, my wife or partner, husband can stay in that home place and run that home, and then I'll just live on the island. No, that does not comply. No. Your closer connection is where your family is, where your dependents are on your tax returns. Where are they? Mm-hmm. Oh, they're going to school here, right? Where I've always been. And now just one partner is living on the island. No, you will not. That will not pass an audit.
And school, when you say go to school too, there's if you're into homeschooling or stuff like that, that's all totally fine here as well. It's not like that.
Which is what's happening everywhere anyway.
Yeah, and it's very loose as far as in some states, there's actually a homeschooling compliance that you have to do, and you have to be following some sort of regiment that. From what I've looked into, that doesn't exist in Puerto Rico. Yeah.
No, here we're very relaxed on that. It's I mean, there's excellent schools. Unfortunately, we know with the whole COVID thing, a lot of them have been closed. But I've heard that some schools are gonna open up virtually and teach kids. Obviously, you have to pay tuition, normal. But we have excellent schools here, like Robinson. What's the other one? Commonwealth, Thais. In Dorado, you probably know that one. Yeah, they're all excellent schools. Robinson, most of the class of Robinson always goes to Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Ivy League colleges. They all leave the island to study outside. So,
yeah.
There's another real good question in the chat room. It says, "Can you guys go into the types of businesses that qualify? And how many of these businesses are for sale? Typically, are there businesses out there that are for sale?" And also, what types of businesses qualify for, our Act 60?
So there's not just Act 20 and 22 and 60 now. There's all kinds of industries. Basically, Puerto Rico is they structure it legislatively and they pass things, but there's different things that have, if you're in the movie industry and you're an actor or you're going to set up a production, there's a specific one for the movie industry or for the performance industry, I guess, or whatever, content creators. There's ones that are specific to, I want to run an Airbnb, I want to run a bed and breakfast. There's going to be ones that are real estate specific about their tax benefit. When it comes to, basically, if you have a good idea and you can propose it before you make the decision to move, you should talk to a lawyer and say, here's my good idea. This is what I want to put my time and energy and funds into. Do you think that would pass for any of these qualifications? And a good lawyer will be able to find out what exists already in government legislation that you probably qualify for. So Puerto Rico, like Tammy had says, has had a 50 or 60 year history of tax benefits for certain industries to come. And only since 2012 has it been more of an individual trader, individual commodities investor, individual. So that's the difference about recently. Yeah, but there's something, I'm sure.
And isn't there a stipulation that if you are conducting some type of a business, maybe a manufacturing business or something, that those products can't go to Puerto Rican residents? They have to be shipped outside of of Puerto Rico?
To receive the tax benefit. Now you can still sell goods to Puerto Rican residents, but whatever you sell or offer services goods wise on the island, you're going to pay typical standard.
You're going to say regular Puerto Rican residency taxes. You're not going to get the what is it, a 4% or something like that they.
Yeah, you can start a ice cream business here and sell ice cream to people. There's people that are very successful. La Paleta, I forgot the name of it, but
Paleta.
Yeah.
Paleta is the best.
So yes, so they're really good, right? And they came from a startup accelerator. I forget the name of the company, but basically, it's like a original. They basically were like two CPAs, like a husband and wife or something. I forgot what they did.
She's a doctor. She's a doctor.
She's a doctor, right?
And he's a pharmaceutical.
Yeah.
So they went from big industry to paletas?
Yeah.
Nice.
They make a lot of money actually because now because of the whole COVID thing, they were selling them to your house. So you had to buy like huge packages of Señor Paleta. So it was like, you want 25 ice creams, like your popsicles? I'm like, what? Okay, but it's $60. And you're like, okay, $60. I got 25 popsicles. I'm good for the whole month. But they sold out in minutes. Like every Sunday they would open up their website, and in 5 minutes they would sell out like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So businesses, even though people think, oh, it's COVID, it's so bad. You know what? I know a lot of restaurants owners that have been making so much money. It's ridiculous. Like certain restaurants, like Nacho Libre, it's a Mexican restaurant. They had to open a second kitchen just to actually handle the demand of all the people ordering, because it was thousands and thousands of orders every day. To delivery.
I was going to say my friend runs a surf camp, and she's like, this is the first year in forever that like we have been full booked, like solid, like no, we can't take any more people.
Because at first you remember that
now you're talking
executive order, they said that you can only go to the beach.
You can go surfing. Yes.
Everyone wanted to surf.
Everyone's got a surfboard.
Surf camp. I like that idea. That sounds like right up my alley.
You can do it every day here because it's so beautiful, especially in summer. Usually when there's no rain or anything. I mean, it rains. It's tropical. But you know what? It rains. It refreshes you, and then you go back to your day.
Like Florida, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, Florida's a crazy, but it doesn't go that low in temperature, at least here. I was
gonna say, I feel like it gets cool. Like, I mean, because of the breeze, it's nice. Like, I mean, I'm normally it was in Tampa, Florida, and it's hot. The Gulf side there, you get a lack of a breeze. So like it's gonna be stagnant more than it is here for sure.
Yeah, here at least it's like more breezy, more humid. Remember, we have a lot of forest areas still on Puerto Rico, so it's always more breezy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a couple of good questions in here. First of all, we got to get this one over. It says, I guess, are all the women as beautiful as Tammy over there, or what?
I think I'm average.
No, she's the only one.
Is there a lot of homeschooling in Puerto Rico?
Yes, actually, I've seen a lot lately.
Well, everybody's.
Well, they consolidated a lot of the schools when I was here in 2018. They closed schools, and I don't know if it was economic reason, but they did have a lot of consolidation. So
what about private
public schools?
So private schools are pretty big. From what I've read from like other Act 2022 people, a lot of people send their kids to private schools. I mean, it's very popular.
I'm a product of private school, obviously. So that's like so good English, but it depends on the school that you send your kid. Obviously, unfortunately, in Puerto Rico, we do have a thing with being very Catholic. So the real good schools, like private schools, are Catholic. So if you have a problem with the religion on your kids,
that's perfect. My grandma would gladly pay for my kids to go to Catholic school.
I went to a school that it was with nuns, literally. Like the nuns would check your skirt. They'll make you kneel.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So all my family is everybody besides me went to Catholic school. So I'm like, I was lucky that I got to. They wanted me to skip a couple grades. So I was like, no. So
but schools here are good.
My little pagan pirate kids would burst into flames if they walked into those.
Walk into the church and be like,
There's a few Montessori schools too that I've looked into because my wife's really into like she's done some she was teaching for a while in a Montessori school and she's real into it. So like if you're into that kind of thing too, that's another like as far as private schools go, there's a bunch of.
Also, we have specialized schools. For example, to give you one, there's one specialized on math and science, extremely good. Mm-hmm. There's one specialized on arts called Bellas Artes. There's one specialized on if you have boys and girls, but I think mostly it's girls for ballet. There's ones for music, Conservatorio de Música. So we have a lot of specialized schools. Those are free, completely tuition free. But your kid does have to prove if they're talented, let's say on the cello, they have to prove every year that they're good academically and on their instrument. If not, they get kicked out. So
even
based like that is awesome.
Those
even the college level.
Yeah.
Sorry. The college level is very recognized. UPR is very recognized, especially for like STEM and technology. So people, typically can, like, there's a lot of blockchain programs and things like that too, as far as crypto specifically, that's oriented here in UPR. So it's very, like I said, the academics are excellent.
I
bet. I have
there's
a lot of
probably
friends.
going to be a lot more.
I have a lot of friends that are in Georgetown, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, just to name a few. Brown, Oxford. I have a friend that she is finishing up her PhD at Oxford. Everything paid for, and she is a product of the UPR.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a girl that made it to Yale with stem cells that we were mentioning right now, and she's a product of public school of Puerto Rico. I have a mom and a dad who are a teacher, and I think he was like a supermarket worker. So nothing big, nothing like, oh my God, they're professionals. And she made it to jail, everything paid.
No, that's awesome.
You said jail or Yale?
Yale, the university. Yale. Like,
I'm just messing with you, Tammy. That's my kids. I've got my son and my daughter, my oldest, they're very, very smart. So I've got Harvard, Yale, and then my youngest, I call him Jail. So that's
there's always one that's gonna run off the course, right?
Yeah. So when I was in the Marine Corps, this was back in the 80s.
In the 1880s, right? It was muskets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have to put the shit down. But we had a lot of guys from Puerto Rico and the DR at that time that were in the Marine Corps with us, and a lot of them were guys that were getting out of college and wanted to come into the Marine Corps and things like that. So I spent a lot of time in the Marine Corps with guys from Puerto Rico, and
by the way,
a lot of education there.
Yeah. When you were mentioning the Marines and the Army, we do have military bases. By the way, if you want to buy your alcohol, food, groceries, anything, furniture, you can do it at Fort Buchanan. They have the PX and the exchange, and it's tax-free. Also, if you want to buy your car, you can buy it. It has to be American, though. It has to be like Jeep, Chevys, every American car, Lincolns.
Mm-hmm.
No Lambos.
No,
I've
no
seen
Lambos, but everything.
I've seen some very expensive cars. They take their chances with potholes, but I've seen some very expensive. I've seen Lamborghinis here, actually. Yeah, I've seen Lamborghinis here.
I've seen Ferraris, and you'll see them around. Like, depending on the restaurants, like if you go to Bottles Valet Parking, it's Lambos, Range Rovers, Ferraris, and you're like, okay. And look at some of the restaurant and hotels. If you go to the Vanderbilt, like the lobby is gonna fill out of those cars. But yes, actually, alcohol is cheaper to buy at the military base. Food, anything that you need, like any furniture, it's definitely better than paying the 11.5 sales tax. But if you have that benefit, also the VA hospital is really good too.
Yeah, it's a nice facility. Yeah.
Oh, good. So Franklin, one of our OG Hexkins says, I believe Act 60 is the new version of Act 22 and 20, or those acts fall under 60. Basically, you have to pay more for these benefits now. I think what Tammy was saying is that they become a little more lenient, or actually
they become a little more lenient, but the price has gone up slightly. So I guess that they're both. There's neither one of y'all are wrong. The donation, the donation to a charitable foundation this year did go up by $5,000.
So what is it? 15 now? Is that what it is?
10.
It's
no,
10 now.
It was 5.
Used to be 5. Now it's 10. Okay.
But
besides
that,
an annual donation,
everything else is it's an annual donation, and everything else as far as like fee structure goes is the same, and as far as requirements for like what we would be, crypto side of things, that's mostly the same as well.
So zero on crypto gains, realized crypto gains, and 4% on an internet business not affiliated with any Puerto Rican economy.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody's asking.
Sources its income outside of Puerto Rico, then it's going to qualify. You can still run a Puerto Rican business, but you just have it in a different entity and pay taxes on it.
You pay Puerto Rican taxes. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which is probably better than California.
It's about the same. It's about 30%. I mean, so if you think of your federal and you think about your state combined, your tax structure, if you're not in one of these programs, is about the same as living anywhere else in the United States.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So let's see. Hex Monkey said, so does that mean the upfront price is more, but resulting benefits are still good? Well,
yeah,
okay,
it's pretty much exactly that. The benefits are the same, but the upfront price
they've really what's happened is they've upped the donation that you have to make to a charitable cause every year, which has gone up $5,000. It used to be $5,000, now it's $10,000. So there's a like, for instance, if you go to Malta, they want you to give them a $650,000 donation, and then you've got to buy a house.
Yeah.
So, and then also one of the other things that we need to talk about is in Puerto Rico, it's you can go set up residency there and rent a place, but eventually they want you to buy a piece of property like within 3 years. Isn't that the requirement?
Yes, that is, I believe, part of the new act
The
well.
new version, you have to buy a residence. For my version, I didn't have to buy a residence ever.
Now, are you still grandfathered in that way, Gary? Or
yes, his will be grandfathered in, whereas like when mine I'll have to buy. I mean, planning on it anyways, but yes, I'll buy a residence within 2 to 3 years, I think.
And you can finance the same as you would anywhere else in the United States, though, so you can still get all the same leverage, VA loans, FHA loans.
Yeah. I mean, you can get pre-qualified if you come down here to look at houses and stuff from a local bank too. It's all.
I've been looking at some really cool places, man. They got a lot of nice little like bed and breakfasts and duplexes and hostels and little things like that. That little fixing up, man. They look really nice. I mean, gosh, it seems like any of the area is nice.
If you're into fixer-uppers too, I mean, I went through. You can even get some real deals on auction.com. They do down here too, where they're literally auctioning off properties. That are like I said, all the range. You can find reasonable places all the way to real fixer-uppers.
Yeah, I was looking at some foreclosures. Yeah, there's a site, I forget the name of it, but they have a lot of foreclosures there, and I know that they don't. It didn't look like they disclosed, because I know that some places are like on propane, some places the plumbing's different, some places you do have a little bit of that. Some issues with some of the amenities or whatever.
So maybe Tammy can comment about the culture here is relationship. So you have a relationship. It's a very family-ish culture.
Yeah.
And what that means is you might have a realtor, but that realtor has relationships with their clients. And so they're really only representing their client and the property they have in their portfolio. But if she can comment more about this, is not just in real estate. So people ask me all the time, why isn't there an MLS? How come I can't do a search on Zillow? You can, but you won't find the full availability.
So to add on what just Gary mentioned, our website where you can find like $20,000 homes, it's clasificados online. It's CLASI.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a big thing.
CADODOS.
Would you, Tammy? Would you put that in the
word.
private chat? You see the private chat over there on the right?
Yes.
I'll do it too.
If we can get the link to that, I'll post it in the chat room, so people want to look at it, they can get it.
This is the website where you can find. I mean, I saw a home. I'm looking at it in Dorado, which is $50,000 right now in the town of Dorado.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You have to obviously use a fixer up, or you have to restore it.
Send me over that link. I want to take a look.
It's a tiny home, but I thought it was like, you can destroy it and do it like a little fixer up, or get it like on Airbnb or rent it out, and just it's $50,000. Come on, like that's nothing.
And that's like the resort beach right there, right, Dorado?
I mean, there's a public.
But it's on the town, like next to the plaza. So you have like Grappa restaurant, an Italian restaurant, which is amazing. You have like walking distance restaurants in that area. So it's a nice little area to walk around.
Yeah. Where I'm at is right on the public side of the beach area, where I'm right behind El Portal, the bar. Huh? I'm staying at like an air. Yeah, El Portal, the little bar that's right on like the strip there, I'm like in like an Airbnb right behind that. So like that's all like neighborhood. Everyone has houses and stuff like that. It's not
actually there's one for sale, but it's on a cash sale, $189 with a pool and 2 blocks from the
with
beach.
A pool. Really? Man.
But they're only asking for cash.
Yeah,
189. It has 2 floors. Is 4 bedrooms. The first floor it has a gazebo and it has like a kitchen, so you can do parties in that area. And then the
Nice.
second floor, yeah, and it's 2 blocks walking distance from the beach. So it's good.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to jump on the classificados.
like- I love clasificados.
Yeah, and let me tell you, their marketing guy, whoever puts up the signs for clasificados, like all over the island, like I mean, they put them up all over the place in the crate. I mean, like very impressed. Those guys need a raise.
I know they get very creative sometimes with the
Very creative
signs.
for
They're
sure.
like, okay, I've even seen. Have you seen in Piñones and other places like for food that they stolen those signs? And they'll put like wherever they're selling, like food wise, on the list.
Yeah, right on there.
I'm like,
Yep,
seriously?
Yep. They're like, those guys will be back. They'll put up more signs. We promise.
No, Clasificados online has become this huge space because there's
Oh, it's got
you
everything
like,
on there.
Oh yeah, it's like it's like a
cars,
Craigslist
boats,
of
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. They have everything. Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So I
You're
mean,
like-
it's in Spanish, so it's a little difficult for me.
You can translate it on the top.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
in
can
English.
translate it.
Okay, where's the little switch at? Let's see.
In the top right corner should be a English.
Top
These
right.
boys know it. They're like on the
Top
top corner right there.
Yeah.
Try to find
Yeah.
Yeah, Clasificados is amazing. You can get anything and everything done from that website. So if you like want to move and you don't want to bring your car, do the whole process, which I know can be headache. Yes,
Costly. That's something that we haven't talked about, is that like no matter what car you bring, if you want to ship a car to Puerto Rico, you have to pay taxes on whatever the Blue Book value is, even if you own it outright. So like you're going to be paying, a pretty penny. Like I mean, often you'll be paying, and like that's on top of there's some other fees and stuff along the way too. So like expect to spend, even like $4,000 to $5,000 to bring your car over here. Just like guaranteed.
So the
at least,
the shipping cost might be fixed, $1,200 to $1,500, and that's actually just getting it to the port. But then I wouldn't say that it's Blue Book. I would say that it depends, because if it's an expensive luxury car, it's kind of like that premium of going to the mechanic. They say you've got money.
Yeah, they know what you got exactly. Oh yeah. I'm planning on sending. I'm going to send a truck. I'm going to send over a busted Ford. And it's,
I do recommend for anyone moving over here to get like a big, well, I don't want to say big, but as sturdy SUV, like a Jeep.
Yeah, something like if you could do 4-wheel.
Yeah, a 4-wheel drive. Also, to go to certain beaches, mountain areas. It is nice to like you can do it without having a rental. But yeah, Puerto Rico in that sense, we are more of a community. So if you do want to rent a house, buy a house, you have to know people, because we know like the good spots. Like I can tell you can tell me a certain sector, district of Puerto Rico, and I can tell you, ooh, that's bad, don't move there. Like, or they're ripping you off, they're asking way too much money. Like if I call and give them my name, they'll probably give me another offer. I'll probably pay $300-400 a month, and they're asking for $1,200 from you. So it's a big difference.
That people will definitely like make wild claims on properties that they love, and that's, I mean, it's part of the negotiation process of what it is. We would definitely want to get to know people and have relationships with them for sure.
Yeah.
Here's a good question: Is there hurricane insurance out there?
Actually, I think my parents had it on the house. Like, depends on the company. Like you buy it from.
BK can talk about the cost of that, at least in Florida, because Florida is a risk profile.
Yes, I have. I mean, we've gone through all of that myself. Like, if you purchase hurricane Florida, like insurance in Florida, and I'm not in a direct flood zone. I like still about 1.5 miles inland, and I mean, we were paying. I mean, it ended up could come up to almost 50% of what your like total mortgage bill is. I mean, like it could be like 30% is like closer to like realistic, but like it's pricey. I mean, you're going to spend several $1,000s a year, on just hurricane insurance, so you got to really make sure that what you're insuring is worth it, because like it's a balancing act, is it a good move or not? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not you.
Well, you can look at,
they do offer it.
You can look at areas that have long history, like Viejo, San Juan, these are buildings. Some of them are 300 or 400 years old, and they've gone through an awful lot of hurricanes.
And they're still there.
And they're still there because they've got 3 foot or 4 foot thick walls. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that you're going to have a shanty in the mountains, you're going to run risk, and you're going to decide I'm willing to take that risk. And, it's the same
like
thing
for
with
example, where I live in San Patricio, this is like the oldest area made in San Juan. So one of the first after actually Capara, where I live, is where Juan Ponce de Leon came and tried to have a settlement, but he couldn't. So that's why he ended up in Old San Juan. So these homes are pretty old. They're like, okay, let me show you. You see those columns right there?
columns.
This is solid concrete. This house is like nothing can happen to it. I swear, it's like it will survive any hurricane, any.
I mean, I was going to say there's earthquakes and stuff, and the ones that are still standing, I mean, those were no joke hurricane or earthquakes recently too.
This house is probably 150 years old or a little bit more, and it's gonna last. Like I swear, when Hurricane Maria hit, the only thing that broke from our home was the garage door and the canopies that we had over the balcony. Those curtains that you put. That was the only thing that was actually affected in the house, nothing else. So when you buy homes, very concrete, like real concrete.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's solid.
The concrete is super solid, and I mean it does add for a whole bunch of other like unique. Like buying a home in Puerto Rico has a certain level of upkeep that you're not going to be. It's going to be different from a home that you would have bought in the States. I mean, like they usually every, I think, what is it, like 5 years or so, you have to reseal the roof of the cement structures, which is like a whole process in and of itself. And like if you don't like rolling tar on rooftops with it, yourself, then you're gonna pay for that to be done, and you're gonna want that done. So there's like electricity is an interesting feature in Puerto Rico because like these are solid cement block houses. So like having like a recessed, like right here, like this is fancy for Puerto Rico for like having a recessed outlet like this, because like for them to do that, because for them to do that, they're gonna have to bore through the cement to run a line, so that's like not easy to do. So like some places you can see who spent the time and energy and effort because and who didn't, because like a lot of places the plugs will be just wall mounted, Yeah, so like, I mean, and that's the whole, and like, so imagine like, I want to put a light switch over there, I want to put a fan up there. Okay, you better really want that fan there.
I mean, some of these properties, like you say, they're 150 years old, they're 100 years old, they're pre-electricity. They were gas lit, colonial homes, so.
No, at least mine, our electricity had to be redone. I think it was like 7 years ago, because my lamp in my room exploded. Like it caught on fire because there was something with the wires and it caught on fire. So
which is
we
like
had to do the whole house.
Which is, I mean, the house that we have in Florida was put in like the 50s and like had no grounded plugs when we moved in, so like a lot of computer equipment, I need grounded plugs, that seems silly, so like you're gonna deal with that stuff, it's natural.
I mean, I got a lap and plaster place.
Even doing a hole in the wall, like you need some special thing to do it, because it's not like in the States, like, oh, I'm just gonna put like a little nail and a hammer. You can't do that in the walls here. It's like a disaster.
So like all of this is anchored, right? It's got masonry kind of stuff, because the person that built this place, like they just wanted to put a tapestry on the wall, and I see like masonry nails that had to be probably like hammer drill.
Exactly. I was gonna say you need a hammer drill. You need a hammer drill. Like those little redheads to knock in there, maybe. Those are
I can tell you from personal experience. I tried to put like a little IKEA shelves that I bought. And I'm like, this is so easy. I can do it. I saw a YouTube video, like, of course. And then I try a drill, like, it was like, nope. It's not going through. I still have them in my closet, so it's
you got to basically ram set everything into the walls over there.
But that's good, because that means that your home is solid. So in any hurricane season, unless you have like an extreme flood, also if you want to move to Puerto Rico, I always suggest to people check if the area floods, because people will tell you that it's just, you have to verify that and ask people and check if you do have, then put an insurance for your furniture and your home if it's in a flooding area. So
yeah. Well, if you do come for Act 20 or 60, you have 2 years. I think it's 2 years. You have 2 years before you have to make these decisions. So you should rent in an area. You should get your kids into school in an area.
Yeah, that's exactly what my plan is. I plan on renting in a couple different areas, and feeling it out and making sure that we're comfortable with where we're going to purchase something.
Right on.
Somebody's asking if there's Amazon on the island.
That's what I wanted to
there's Amazon on the island. Yes, you can get Amazon.
We have Prime. We have Amazon Prime. We get everything. Like I right now order like a mini fridge, like this one that you plug on your car. You get it.
Yeah, a lot of people actually they use Amazon Prime like crazy, and it has maybe 1 day extra. I mean, sometimes it won't be like the next day; it'll be 2 days. But they have a whole warehouse here that has everything that's shipped from the stateside anyway.
Yep.
I know that Costa Rica has issues with the mail. It's real hard to get mail. That's obviously not Puerto Rico's issue. Then
remember we are USPS.
Oh, yeah. So you see regular post office guys delivering everywhere. Yeah.
The same.
I have some friends that are out in like in the Virgin Islands, and it's not St. Thomas but St. John's, and they have like they'll wait for some mail. They're like their Prime is a month out, or 2-3 weeks out, which is they're like, I'm gonna have a whole different set of needs in another month.
I've ordered something on Amazon and actually got it the same freaking day out here.
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Chicago has that ability too. The daily drop-offs too. It's wild.
Yeah.
Also, eBay, you can order stuff from. I order stuff from eBay every other day, and it gets here in 2-3 days maximum.
I think the hardest thing as far as like ordering stuff is that I've noticed. So like I've been on a specialty diet, and so like I was looking for somewhere that would send me my stuff, my paleo stuff, through the mail, and like very few places that do like, if you want some like the Blue Plate or any of those Blue Apron or whatever, those kind of ship your food kind of stuff, those most of them, there are a couple that will ship, but most of them will not ship to Puerto Rico. That is one thing that I have noticed. So I mean, as far as perishable foods being shipped with an extra day or two, it makes sense that it's probably more difficult for them.
Remember liquids, because we don't have ground transportation, liquids will be complicated to ship. Also, anything that's in liquid forms from Victoria's Secret, if you order online, they won't let you buy the perfumes. You have to buy it at the store here.
Good to know.
There's an example.
I don't know what I would have done without my Victoria's Secrets, that's for sure.
Well, if you have a wife and she likes it, then that might be a problem on any Valentine's Day for sure.
So the big advice is, you should call this a home. It should be a home. You should learn Spanish. You should learn how to salsa. Things like that. You're just going to be social grease because you're going to build neighbors and relationships. Potentially you might be here for decades. Still doing your other things and so forth. But my decree is for 20 years. So if you treat it as I've just got to do this obligation, I've just got to do this requirement and the requirement of for taxation, you're looking at
then that's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to become just like a requirement, some annoying hurdles, and then everything about the little bits and pieces about Puerto Rico, we'll see, like you said, the small challenges that there are will seem like big hurdles and super annoying, and it won't be as fun and as enjoyable as of an experience. That's for sure.
Now, okay, so I got a question.
Is alcohol cheaper is another question that came through.
Yes.
I don't say it's cheaper. It's a little cheaper,
is.
but not only that, it's also the drinking age is 18 too. So
yeah.
Oh,
So you can get beers here for
$18
$1. Yeah, it's 18.
That's right. It went federal, so it used to be it's 18. Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's also you can get beers here for $1.50. You can get drinks like rum drinks,
cheap.
Vodka drinks for $3-4. Food is super cheap depending where you go. You can get food like for $2-3 as well. It all depends, obviously.
Uber
is so crazy cheap here. It's
crazy
like
cheap
insane.
Because in Silicon Valley, just to go to the airport like 3 miles away was like $18 or $19, but it's like $6, $7 here. It's way cheaper.
Yes, 10 times cheaper.
Does RG3?
Yeah, and there's all the other services too. If you want like a limo service or a town car service or any of that stuff, there's all, you can go online and get all that stuff too. Yeah.
First class, if you want the whole special treatment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now I forgot what I was going to ask. You guys start talking about the alcohol. There's nothing for me. I'm allergic to alcohol. Can't drink it. I break out.
So you know what? We have like fruits and smoothies and stuff like that that are really good. And fresh fruits.
Yeah.
The side, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little spot. This lady has this little breakfast place out in the Keo. And they're like, man, I have dreams of this place. It's like in a little neighborhood, right at like the very tip of like, you know, yeah. Oh my gosh, her spot.
And they have like a lot of fruits outside, and she makes everything like, fresh right there.
Oh my God! Oh, her fresh drink, like it's always different, like every day from right from like I'm whatever is in that shit, man. I want to drive out there tomorrow.
Well, he was already talking up. He wasn't talking Puerto Rican food earlier. He was talking about this Venezuelan place that was.
The little Los Champas Arepas, the little arepas place that's right 24-hour, right in El Verde. That place is.
Oh yeah, next to the gas station. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah, you can go there at like 3 a.m, get yourself a. I mean, you used to. Now it's because of the curfew and stuff. But normally,
how's the other? Is there other international foods out there? You know, sushi, Thai food, those kinds of things.
Okay. So there's a sushi place because I'm like a sushi-aholic. So there's a place that's called. There's a couple different ones. There's one that's like right in Old San and like Condado area that is. They have like outside seating and iPad like sushi and like top shelf. Like if you want your otoro, chutoro, fatty tunas and stuff like that, they got them. They got it all.
What's the name of that place?
I think the one. Yeah. There's that one. And then there's also I Sushi too. That's pretty decent. That's over there too. There's probably 5 that are over there that are like.
Gary, by where you live, it's you got the closest one, Chivo. She was really good. Chivo and Yoku. Chivo, those are good.
Is that where you're gonna take me to dinner?
Yeah, and there's all sorts of other fun stuff too. Like I dig like there's food that's like little food truck areas like was it Lotte 43,
Lotte 23.
Yeah, that's awesome too.
So that's like a real authentic mofongo and all that good stuff.
You can get anything there. You got like Italian, Puerto Rican, Asian. It's like a mix of food.
Yeah, it's like food trucks that are all like beached there. They're just there all the time,
There's one like a Puerto Rican pork only, like the Puerto Rican pork style pork. They have one like for drinks only. They have one for desserts only. It's different kinds of little food trucks, and you can get anything there.
Now, here's a serious question that somebody asked in the chat room, and in South American countries and in Mexico, you have issues with water with American soft bellies too. How is it in Puerto Rico? Same as the U.S. water system, or is there issues?
I don't know what my source is, but we have cisterns in different buildings, which are big reserves. So you have to pay attention to that. But I don't know that I'm on. I'm sure it's city water. At least where I'm at.
City water, yeah.
Yeah, I've never had an issue, and I lived here for a year, never had a stomach problem. But I don't know.
I always suggest to people, the little Brita filters that they sell over at Walgreens, like $20. Buy that. Like if you don't want to buy water every other day, like just use that. Filter your water. Our water system is pretty good. It's pretty decent. It's very cheap as well. If you pay water bills, you're gonna notice. It's like at my house, we pay like $25 per month.
So basically, the rules, even though like Flint, Michigan has its lead issue, the rules.
Oh no, we don't have lead. No.
Yeah, I was just about to say that the rules of the United States of EPA, they still apply here. This is EPA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're in a remote spot and off some well water or something like that, I'm sure you could possibly. I mean, just like anywhere else, it could be not the greatest. I know there are some rivers that are not like super clean. I'm sure, but like for the most part, everywhere that I've been able to drink the water.
So do you guys know if they tower or if they well? I know it's an island, so do they well water out in like the Frontera out in the woods out there in the mountains and stuff? Do they dig wells or do they use like water towers out there?
I don't know about the mountains, but I know that here because the electrical grid can be iffy sometimes. They will pump water on top of buildings. and then that gravity of the cistern being high still gives you flushing toilets and showers until it gets drained. Yeah.
Actually, after Hurricane Maria, they suggested that every Puerto Rican gets a cistern in their home because in case we don't have water, then you have your extra water cistern. So
and solar, like the solar heat for water, I see in a lot of places too. You know, people have like the solar heaters for that too.
So wind and solar is pretty big out there then.
Getting big. I know a lot of friends that have it.
Tesla moved here after Maria, and Tesla did like the children's hospital, and then after that they started a lot of their solar company stuff. So it depends on where you're at as far as what grid you have available already. But just about it, like even there's rebates and things like that for if you're going to be a solar company, you know, be something like that. There's tax benefits to even and there's FEMA money. I think they brought like $80 billion. There's still FEMA money for certain places to retrofit their property.
So go ahead.
I was saying that I think the most important thing about that was that like if you're worried about solar for like, you know, backup source of power, then I would definitely make sure that you're gonna get some battery backup kind of thing going on, because like a lot of the like they got systems. Well, I was into like the solar situation a couple of years ago when I was down here, and when I talked to some people about it, that like they had a bunch of programs to get residential places fitted with solar, but the big problem was that they were grid tied. So like when the hurricanes came through, people were like sitting there looking at their solar panels that couldn't produce any power for them. You know, so
I was gonna say also something with the solar panels that unfortunately, even if you have them, you cannot get off the grid of the electrical cord over here. You have to still pay the minimum.
Yeah, that's like,
and there's no and like the net metering thing doesn't really. It's not going to work in your favor here. It's not like you're going to roll back the meter.
Right on. Well, let me switch it up a little bit. I wanted to ask and take it in a different direction as far as the economy out there, and you know we're talking about tax benefits and people going out there that have already set up businesses or whatever. What about for people who are looking at Puerto Rico, like, hey, maybe I do want to set up an Act 60 situation for later on down the road, but maybe I want to start working out there. Is there work available to, say some of our younger Hexicans that say, you know what, I want to pick up stakes and go out to the island and try and find a job. And is a job market tough out there? I mean, it's tough everywhere right now, but is there jobs available to skilled labor, those types of things?
The thing is that when we were talking about jobs, remember the whole salary, $725? Unfortunately, that's what's most in the market. But if you are a prepared person, obviously, if you, went to MIT and you're an engineer and you know what you're doing, there's always going to be a firm. And if you have connections, Puerto Rico, unfortunately, is an island of connections. After you have a connection, just one, it will open the doors to so many other things, because that's how it works here. It's like, oh, I have a friend, that a family, that someone else told me about this job, and that's how you get it. Yeah. And sometimes we'll get mad at like, oh, this person that came from the mainland got the job that I apply, and they're getting paid 10 times more, but they're more prepared than you are, or they're bilingual. Some people here might go to the university, have an amazing resume, but they don't speak English. So that's a big problem for some companies if they need someone to do certain translations, or if they need English speakers, or they have conference calls. You need someone to speak English. So, but yeah, it all depends on the market that you're going to. I know a lot of people I've seen. I work all over hotels, and my last job was at the Ritz Reserve in Dorado. So everyone in that hotel, I think I was like the only Puerto Rican. Everyone was from the States. Every single one, or if not, they were from Japan, France, Mexico. Which one was the other one? I think there was another one. Yeah, a lot of Japanese. Like the chef had his little crew of Japanese people, but it was a lot of outsiders, and I was surprised that a Spanish guy, a girl from Zimbabwe, like even from Africa. I was like, what the, like, how do you guys all ended up in this little island? And they're like, oh no, I transfer. Some of them did transfer. Some of them moved to Puerto Rico because they wanted to live here. And I'm like, wow, that's a big bold move to come all the way over here. And they got jobs that were paying really well because the rates, depending on the job, it will start like at $20 the hour. So $20 in Puerto Rico, remember, in the island at least, that's a good paying salary, especially when you have healthcare, food. They were paying for everything. So you had 2 meals a day, free parking, healthcare insurance, also a union protecting you. So that's a pretty good job.
So someone's asking, I see in there, how much is property taxes there?
Yeah.
Depends on the house.
Depends on the house, and it also depends on your status too, because I'm pretty sure that people with the Tax Act get like, I think it's like 75% off of their property tax. I think maybe it's for them or if it's for their business. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that there's like Gary, you're saying that there's benefits for real estate as well. So I do know that for people that come from off like to here to buy property, they do have some reductions on tax.
Yeah, if it's a business, if it's going to basically benefit the island that you own or operate that real estate in a way that brings economic value to the island, then that's going to get very low tax, if no tax, for the first 10 years. So there, you can say, I'm going to run. You can say, I'm just going to live here on the beach. You're probably going to pay tax. You're going to pay just like everybody else would, right? If you say, I'm going to run it, and part of it is going to be Airbnb, part of it's going to be a bed and breakfast, part of it's going to be a micro hotel, and it's close to San Juan, or it's close to Dorado, or it's close to that surfing camp that I want to run, whatever it might be, then you can operate that. You find out before you buy the property. They tell you if you qualify or not. So the property qualifies. And then you say your intention. My intention is to run a surf camp, and I'm going to rent out the rooms, right? If it qualifies, which a lot of properties will qualify, a lot of areas will qualify, a ton of areas, then the first 10 years is 0 property tax.
Yeah,
10 years. And the first operating income of that operation, the first 10 years of it generating income, is 0 taxed. So there's a lot of reasons to look at real estate too.
Also, to add to what you were saying about real estate, I'm not sure how it works, but depending if it's like your first home, second home, it doesn't pay. I'm not completely sure. I don't want to say this like 100% accurate, but I know there's like a loophole about that. If it's, I'm not sure if it's your first home, you don't pay like the property taxes, or if it's your second home, it's like something like that. I had to look it up, but it's something one
Maybe
or the other.
residency versus an income property.
Yeah, like first home, second home mortgages, an income property mortgage, it's the same sort of thing. Like they're going to look at what's the use of the property.
And you said VA is accepted out there. You can buy a home on a VA.
Yep.
And cars also. Yeah. Like my car was bought with a VA loan, so I pay like one something on interest or something of the car. So if I got it on my own with my credit, I should have paid like $650 a month, and I have a for Escape. But my dad gave me, his name and all that for the paperwork, so I got it for $350 a month. So it's not bad. And the insurance in Puerto Rico, we pay the whole insurance like a year. So I pay my insurance for my car right now, and it was $2,600. But it does cover everything. Like if something happens to the car, they work really well. And you get your check. Oh, by the way, this is important. Like once if you were in a hit or run or whatever happens, you pay the deductible and you get the check for your car like that same day. And you can send them even a photo. You'll be like, okay, let me send you the photo. They have a WhatsApp. It's called Seguros Múltiples. You send them that and they're like processing. Okay, come and pick up your check. So it's really easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So Tammy, we heard a little bit about you, but what exactly is it that you do? What is your profession? What do you do?
So I'm a certified tour guide by the Company of Tourism of Puerto Rico. I did study history of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, so I do have a big background on history. And as you can see, most of these books, other than law, they're because some are my dad's, other ones are history books. So I know very well the history of Puerto Rico. That's why I was telling you about the whole tax exemption. This is old. I remember having a professor at the university saying, we are like the best island in the world. We, fix women's headaches. We give men other things. We have Tylenol and Viagra next to each other, so it's perfect. So we were giving out these exemptions way longer than you can even imagine. We had Haynes as well. There were so many big companies, but unfortunately, a lot of them started to pull out of Puerto Rico once the exemption came to an end. And they were trying, I heard, was it like the vice president or someone was advising Trump to bring back all these industries to the island so we can profit, like everyone can actually profit. And the IVs that are used in most hospitals of the United States are made in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
So we have a lot of industries here, and the structure is already there. There's in Dorado, BK, you probably know about this. There's a scientific place that is like so amazing. I always forget the name, but it's this scientific industry that they do experiments, and it's so cool. It's like
I don't know. That sounds awesome.
I'll look it up. Every time that I pass by, I was like, wow, it's so impressive that we have that here in Puerto Rico. But yeah, my background goes with that, and obviously when I became a tour guide, I had to start paying up a little bit more attention with the whole Act 20, 21, 22, and now Acts or Law 60, because a lot of people were moving into the island or consider moving to Puerto Rico, and they were asking me a lot of questions that I really didn't have an answer sometimes to. And I decided to research on the topic, obviously knowing the whole history of Puerto Rico, our background on economics, and obviously being a colony of the United States, that's something that cannot be denied. Like I said, we have a lot of rules and laws and things that we cannot change, and it's because of the United States, because it has to go through the US first, then to us. And even though sometimes we want to change certain laws, we can't, because it has to go then through them. So it's like asking your mom and dad for permission and when you're like 100. So it's the only way I can put it.
1917, 1916, 104.
That's the way. That's the way Indians are in the States. It's like they're the grandparents that have to ask permission from their kids. Is what their wards in the state also on the reservations.
Unfortunately, with Puerto Rico, it has been with the misuse of funds and federal money that has been sent to the island. That's a sensitive topic. I think that has caused a lot of uprisings in the island, and people get really mad about that because it's money that is sent to us. But then some people get it. Like, let's say you guys come into the island and then you connect through me, to give you an example, and I'll tell you, oh, I got invited to this dinner because the embassy of Uruguay, because I know the ambassador over there sent me an invitation, and you're my +1. And you have this huge company that you just brought to Puerto Rico of construction, to give you an example. And I introduce all these politicians, all these people, and then you start making connections, and then you get like a really juicy contract. So that's how a lot of things work in the island. It's like being at the right place at the right time and knowing the right people. It's relationships. Exactly. You just build what you want. And that's the thing with the island, that sometimes that money that this politician is promising you is from federal money that got from FEMA or from something else, from COVID. And then they'll tell you, oh, I'm going to give you 20 million. But once I give you those 20 million, you're going to have to do my propaganda. You have to be in every political party that I do. You got to, throw donations, and
that's the territory
put you in the spot.
I'm
that's a territory.
from Chicago.
That's how it goes.
How that works, right? The thing is that when you're not like from here, and you don't have the, let's say, the knowledge of the whole politician background, then you don't really know sometimes what you're supporting. So you always have to be careful with that. Like, always like double check your candidates or who you're doing business with. Like, always verify that, because there's a lot of people that will take that, ignorance is bliss, and they will take that in advantage and use you, basically. And then when something happens, and like you have mentioned, like audits and taxes and stuff, they'll be like, oh no, I gave that money to this company, and they'll just wash their hands and leave you with a mess. So you always have to be careful, because the system, it is very corrupt. I'm gonna be honest, like it's corrupt, but you can always use it in a good way or in a bad way.
All the systems are corrupt.
Yeah, so always be safe. Be safe. That's all I'm saying. Like, just be smart and be safe.
That's why a facilitator, if you find a good one and you source people through a natural network and organically, you can find good people that lead you to even, more utility people that can help you through these processes and kind of navigate the politics and the law and where to set up your residence and your business, how to structure it. You should always look at someone that's already successful in that field.
Yep. Right on. Well, we've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. Is there anything else you want to add, Tammy? Anything that you wanted to talk to us about? Any links to websites that you want to tell everybody about?
I guess Clasificados online. There's another one. I think it's Zillow. Zillow, is it?
Zillow.
Zillow, and
There's
another one. Point to Homes.
Point to Homes. That's the one I was thinking about.
Point
too.
to Homes. Point and literally let me write it down. Point to Homes. It's really good too.
That's the one I've been looking at. Is 22.
Oh, Point to Homes. Oh, great. Point to Homes is really good too. And I think I just want to add to what Gary said. If you come down to Puerto Rico, don't think of it like punishment or sacrifice. You know what? Enjoy the island. This island is so beautiful. We are so blessed to live on an island that has the most crazy ecosystems all together in 100 times 35. We have the third most beautiful beach in the world, which is Flamenco Beach down in Culebra. I know it's a little bit of a hassle to get there, but it's so worth it. You have out of 7 bioluminescence bays in the world, we have 4 of them. So you know how amazing is that? If you want to show your kids that type of avatar, glow in the dark water, you can show them for real, because we have it. We have cave systems that are crazy. It's the 2nd largest cave system in the world. Have you seen Batman? Those were filmed over here, with Christian Bale. That was filmed in Puerto Rico. So it's not a set, it's real, it's here. What else? People are always going to be super heartwarming to you. They're always going to receive you with open arms, even if they don't speak the language. If you can communicate with them, this is going to be the way you communicate. But they're always going to be so nice. Everyone's going to try to help you. Believe me, we're not a country or an island of closed-minded people, or you can do this, bye. We'll always find a way. And everyone's going to be really welcoming. They're always going to give you coffee, talk to you, smile. It's really nice. So far, from what I've experienced my entire life over here, I've never experienced any crime, knock on wood, thankfully. Even though it is, but you learn to avoid the areas, learn to avoid to be out at a certain time, go to certain places. So I used to live in Culebra, which is beautiful, by the way. Whoever wants to live over there, you do have to know there's a system, which is the ferries for Vieques and Culebra. There is a big problem with that, which is called the ATM. They do have private ferries, but that contract ends this year, so no one really knows what's going to happen afterwards. So if you do want to live in paradise, know that there's no hospitals over there, that there's going to be difficulties, that when there's no ferry, there's no way to go back into the island or get out of the island. So that property taxes are going to be more expensive over there. That life per se, it's going to be more difficult for you and your children. But schools over there, and at least in Culebra where I live, they only have 2 schools. One is Abbey, which is a homeschool, and it's run by this American lady, super nice. So Abbey School is really good. It goes with the homeschooling laws, you could say, or regulations. So it's extremely good. The kids are very smart over there. They know, they're very good school, and they're very open-minded school. So it's one day we're gonna go snorkeling. Today we're gonna learn all about the beach. We're gonna learn the turtles, the biodiversity, the corals, the reefs, everything. So again, Puerto Rico might be a little bit more difficult than what you're used to in your state, but it's so much worth it once you see every day the beauty of everything, having the ocean right next door, having the Yunque, the forest. That's a beautiful rainforest if you have a chance to go. If you do the Bio Bay, if you go to the cave systems, which is every part of the northern area of Puerto Rico, after Arecibo all the way down to Atillo, it's all cave systems. You can do hikes here. It's super safe. It's I've never heard anyone of getting anything, doing any outside sports activities. So I've never really heard of any crime in that area specifically. The beaches in the west side are beautiful. If you're thinking of Rincon, Aguadilla, that area, Cabo Rojo, super nice. Also, it's a little bit more quiet. To let you know, there are a little bit of earthquakes. They come and go. In the metro area, we don't feel them, but in the southern area of Puerto Rico, they have really affected some homes. And those are concrete homes. So it's sad to see them. Some like they look like a little paper ball right now. But that's like every country, you know, LA goes through fires and earthquakes all the time, and people live there. So wasn't Kim Kardashian's home like almost on fire, and didn't she hire like 20 trucks and helicopters to stop it? So you know, at least we don't have wildfires like that. So it's only I don't want to say usual hurricanes, because in Puerto Rico before Hurricane Maria, we had 20 good years of non-hurricanes ever, like nothing, not even a scare. Like it was good 20 solid years. And I can tell you that because I've lived here through those 20 years. And the last one that we had was George, like I was 8 and I remember it very vividly. And things weren't that bad. Things were back to normal in 2 weeks. You just have to understand that Maria was so devastating that it completely destroyed the island. But other than that, everything went back to normal in Puerto Rico in 2 weeks. Like, remember, we got FEMA money. We are part of the United States. So when we are under an emergency, United States has to come down and, you know, solve that emergency. And basically, you are like in your own little island, but still part of the United States. You still have Costco, Sam's, Walmart, everything to make you feel at home.
Gyms. Nice gyms.
Temperature. Planet Fitness. There's one called what's it called? Live Gym, something like that. It's super nice. It's like chandelier. You go and they give you mimosas. No, seriously, super nice.
It's down the street,
Yeah, it's like super bougie, but but you know, if you're into that, but if not, you have Planet Fitness. You know, $10 a month is good. Every machine works, so.
I just need one with a sauna. As long as it's got a sauna, I can go and get in the hot room. I'm good.
You want a hot room? Like right now, the humidity feels like a hot room.
Yeah.
Right on. Anybody else got anything else? I want to get this sealed up here because we've been going for almost 2 hours, and I don't want to keep anyone too long on a Sunday.
That was great.
You guys are good.
Yeah, I took Big K out today, and he went to Peones, and we had some VJ today, and he got to meet Kinman, who's another Act 20 guy.
Nice.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Right on. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna call it. Tammy, thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with Discourse Syndicate. Yeah. We appreciate you, and I'm sure we're gonna probably have some more questions as time goes on. Maybe we can get you on again sometime.
Of course.
And chat with you. But while everybody hang out, I'm gonna end it up, but I'm not gonna kick everybody off. I want to hang out for a few minutes, talk to you guys. So, all right, everybody, thanks for coming. Thanks for subscribing and following the channel. For those of you who are new to Dlive, we just became affiliates of Dlive, so you can subscribe to us now and you can follow us. So if you would do so, we'd appreciate that. And also follow the Hexologist. And for all of my Hex people out there, you guys can go and get your free Hex, your extra Hex by going to hex.doctor. If you're new to Hex and coming into our channel through Dlive, go to hex.doctor and go get your free Hex from the Adoption Amplifier. 10% more actually is what it is. All right, everybody. Thanks on hanging out for the special edition, and we'll catch you guys all on Monday. I have Litecoin Moses, and we got some guests coming in. I think we might have our TikToker who pumped
the Doge guy.
Pumped Doge.
Yeah.
Coming on to hang out with us. So we're working on that. We'll see how it goes. But everybody, thanks for hanging. We'll catch you in the next one.